Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so you friends see it. Thank you.
Gregg Jarrett drops a MOAB that puts Mueller and Rosenstein next on the chopping block. Oh boy. Here we go, everyone. Gregg Jarrett stepped up to the plate and hit a home run on this one. Gregg is a legal and political analyst for Fox News Channel and formerly was a trial attorney. So he definitely knows a thing or two about the law. And the United States is still a country where the law rules the land. Even if the corrupt Obama-era DOJ, FBI and State Departments try to knock themselves off the perch of honor. A few bad apples don't spoil the whole bunch. Mueller the Ghouler called to resign. Specifically, he should leave the witch hunt. Earlier this morning, Gregg Jarrett points his laser-like truth bomb onto Mueller and says, Unethical Mueller, in his court filing, admits that Rosenstein's order appointing him was intentionally vague. Then Gregg goes on to say why. Specifically, he said this violates the special counsel law that requires a specific statement of facts to be investigated. Mueller violated the law. Does this surprise anyone? Then Jarrett went on to include the current Deputy General of the FBI, Rosenstein and Mueller colluded to break the law and should resign. The Gateway pundit reported the incriminating memo surfaced because of the Manafort case. In Mueller's eagerness to convict Manafort for alleged indiscretions in 2011, he ended up ratting himself out. Christina Layla reported, an August 2017 memo from Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to Special Counsel Robert Mueller surfaced late Monday evening in a court filing. Mueller used the memo to defend his scope of the investigation against a recent motion Manafort filed to dismiss his case. In the heavily redacted memo, Robert Mueller admits Rosenstein's order appointing him to special counsel was intentionally vague. Let's hope that Mueller and Rosenstein broke the law and it comes to light. And with luck, the law will win. In Christina's column, the comments are too fantastic and explanatory to not share with you here. George replied with OMG, I have been screaming for a year Rod Rosenstein violated Title 28 USC 600.1 and USC 600.4 just impaneling Mueller and Mueller knew it. It is certainly good to know which exact laws were broken. Click to here to read more about 28 CFR 600.1, grounds for appointing a special counsel. Additionally, click here to read more about Title 28 CFR 600.4, jurisdiction. Then John replied, to George and boiled the whole thing down in a nice, neat nutshell. A predicate crime was never identified by Rosenstein, leaving the creation of the special counsel with no legal basis. And the Russian collusion narrative which was falsely substituted for the predicate crime was entirely based on what has now been proven to be a fraudulent counterintelligence operation driven by the Clinton political opposition all along. The Mueller counsel was specious from the very beginning. Drop a comment below. Let us know if you think Jarrett is on track. Do you think Mueller and Rosenstein colluded to break the law and that they should resign? Donald torpedoes Democrats' last-ditch plan for illegals, now they're fleeing in droves. President Trump signed the omnibus spending bill last month to widespread disapproval. The people that elected him were angered by the fact that the bill prevented Trump from keeping his campaign promises, like building the border wall and having no deal for DACA recipients. Not only did the bill provide zero funding for the wall, it also expanded the catch and release program, which releases illegals into our country's interior. These liberals' policies are destroying our country's sovereignty, which is exactly what the left wants. They want to turn us into a third world country where only they have the power. But Trump appears to finally be waking up and reasserting his philosophy that in order to make America great again, we must stop compromising with the America-hating left. From Breitbart. In a series of tweets, Trump signaled a return to his America First immigration agenda, mentioning that he will no longer try to negotiate a deal between the GOP establishment and Democrats on the issue of giving amnesty to potentially millions of illegal aliens shielded from deportation by the President Obama-created Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, program. No more DACA deal, Trump wrote on Twitter, while also saying that Republicans must go to nuclear option to pass tough legislation that ends the catch and release program, which releases border crossers into the U.S. while they await trial. The caravans the president speaks of involve thousands of illegals from Honduras traveling together at this moment to show up at our southern border and demand refugee status. Mexico is actively assisting the caravan, which is against the law. The international refugee laws state that refugees must request asylum in the first country they come to. That country is Mexico, but Mexico does not want these people, so they are helping them come here by organizing buses to transport them. The people in this caravan are not refugees when they leave Mexico, but economic migrants and illegal aliens. To put it bluntly, the action by Mexico in helping these illegals come to the U.S. is an act of war. Therefore, the caravan and the federales who assist them should be met at the border by the U.S. Armed Forces and sent back home. This is illegitimate use of the armed forces, as it is technically an invasion orchestrated by a foreign government. This push for the border by the immigrant army moving through Central America may very well be the catalyst that causes Trump to deem it a national emergency. Source: Breitbart. Breaking news out of Mexico. Look what they just did. Trump all smiles. One of the biggest bits of news on all mainstream media channels is the caravan of illegal immigrants heading toward the United States border with Mexico, intending to demand entry into the country. But from this big story comes a heavy dose of irony, as Mexico deports 400 marchers for entering Mexico illegally. According to the Daily Wire, when the caravan crossed the Mexican-Guatemalan border, the group's leaders praised Mexican officials for stepping aside and allowing them entry. Refugee caravan knocking down borders yesterday in Sweden. Immigration agents abandoned the post when they knew we were coming. The people celebrated this first little victory. They said on Facebook. Before setting out on the journey, the migrants were organized into groups of 10 to 15 people, and a leader was designated for each group. 5 groups were then banded together in what organizers call a sector. While there are organizers from Pueblos Sin Fronteras leading the way, much of the effort to get to the U.S. border is in the hands of the migrants themselves. BuzzFeed. But according to CNN, in its statement, the Mexican Foreign Ministry said the caravan is mainly made up of people from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, and that around 400 caravan participants who did not enter the country of Mexico lawfully had been repatriated to their countries of origin with a strict legal framework. Under no circumstance does the government of Mexico promote illegal migration, it said. The ministry said the circumstances of the caravan differed from those of previous years in that the Mexican immigration authorities have proceeded to offer refuge in some cases, as well as other necessary protective measures. The caravan set off on March 25 for a 1,900-mile trek and is expected to hit the U.S.-Mexico border by the end of the week. President Donald Trump hasn't seemed to be impressed with Mexico's attempts to stop the caravan either, but it looks like the laws in our southern neighbor's nation have worked in this instance. The big caravan of people from Honduras, now coming across Mexico and heading to our weak-class border, had better be stopped before it gets there. Cash cow NAFTA is in play, as is foreign aid to Honduras and the countries that allow this to happen. Congress must act now. Mexico does not make immigration decisions for the United States or any other nation, the statement went on to say, adding that the respective authorities will decide whether to authorize or not the entry of those who are part of the caravan. The Mexican president, Enrique Peña Nieto, did speak regarding NAFTA. He said that he continues to look for a resolution that will benefit the development of the 3 countries, Mexico, the U.S., and Canada, that are negotiating with NAFTA. By Max Laveau at STFPlan.com. God bless. President Trump makes power move on Congress, now illegals are racing for the border. Donald Trump has made great gains on immigration since entering office. But so much more needs to be done. The Great Border Wall must be built. Tighter immigration laws need to be passed. New policy that encourages good, hard-working people into America must be implemented. Criminals, drug dealers, and murderers must be deported. And of course, a real solution to DACA must be drafted. But Congress, including Republicans, drags its feet. So, Trump did something that will get Americans talking and illegals walking. From Breitbart. President Donald Trump urged Congress to prevent large groups of illegal immigrants from entering the country. Act now, Congress, our country is being stolen, Trump wrote on Twitter on Monday morning. Trump said that weak border laws passed by Democrats prevented Border Patrol and ICE agents from enforcing the border laws. Congress must immediately pass border legislation, use nuclear option if necessary, to stop the massive inflow of drugs and people, he wrote. Trump repeated his views about DACA, saying the issue is dead after Democrats refused to make a deal to legalize illegal immigrants brought to the United States as children. He reminded Mexico that they had the power to prevent large caravans of illegal immigrants from entering the country. We know that when Trump tweets, the world listens. His insignificant tweets have transformed nations. Liberal pundits write them off. Anti-Trump conservatives get embarrassed. But people with brains take his tweets seriously. Why? Because the American people are reading them. When Trump blasts Congress for their failures, voters are listening. When he demands the border wall and tighter immigration enforcement, millions of Americans agree. Liberals can't waffle in D.C., when their jobs are on the line. Remember, many members of Congress are up for re-election in November. They can ignore or insult Trump. But the people are reading his tweets. If they want a chance at keeping their jobs, they'll take his volley against illegal immigration seriously. Because I can promise you, Mexico will take it seriously. Trump holds the fate of NAFTA in his hands. Mexican officials are reading his tweets. They know what they're up against. If they want to deal fairly with America, they're going to have to deal with illegal immigration. Congress should be paying attention. Source: Breitbart.